Friends, today's episode of Creatives on Camera is a goldmine of marketing information. If you want to know a little bit more about how to authentically reach your customers and serve them and talk to them in a way that brings them into your orbit, you're going to love this. I'm Lyric Montgomery Kennard. I'm coming to you from the Academy for Virtual Teaching, a community of artists and crafters and makers who own businesses. We're shops, we're teachers, we're using video software and online methods to reach and serve our audience. Let's get right into today's episode. Hello, friends. We are here with Dawn Prickett of Twice Sheared Sheep, which is a name I actually really love. It'd be fun to just go around saying twice sheared sheep, twice sheared sheep, twice sheared. It sounds like a tongue twister. Why don't you introduce your business and a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I am Dawn Prickett. I am the owner, founder, whatever you want to call it, of Twice Sheared Sheep. We are a knitting notions company. We didn't always start out that way, though. So they're legitimately, I love the name of my company, but it is a bit of a tongue twister. And I'm like, why did I pick this? I started out originally selling recycled yarn. So I would buy sweaters from the thrift store. I would unravel them for the yarn, and then I would sell that yarn. And so Twice Sheared Sheep to me was like, you shear the sheep once to get the wool, and then they made it into yarn, and then I sheared it again to unravel the sweaters. But I needed a business name when I first started selling more than 20 years ago on eBay, and that's the name that I picked. Although I spelled sheared wrong, and
dear.
and I was really embarrassed and had to change it.
That's like the very first lesson of today is that throw it out there instead of thinking it needs to be perfect. And if you make a mistake, you just fix it. You change it as you go.
Yep, you just fix it. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. So I am the mother of 5 children. This was my stay-at-home mom job when my
Me
kids were
too.
little. 5 too.
5 too.
Yay! By the time that my twins were born, my oldest, I think, was not quite 6. I had 5 ages 6 and under. But this was my stay-at-home mom job when my kids were little, and I unraveled thrift store sweaters. And that I think when I started out, I like to say that a skein of wool yarn literally changed my life. So I had 2 little babies at home. I wasn't working outside the home. And so I needed something to fill my time. And I had recently quit playing online video games. I played an MMORPG, Final Fantasy, and it was not super conducive to having small children. So I took up knitting again. But again, addictive personality. I wanted to do all the things. And this was before Ravelry. This was before Facebook. This was before all of these things. I joined a Yahoo group. Do you remember? Did you ever?
Yes.
Yes, the Yahoo groups where you could get essentially a newsletter list of people who had a similar interest to you. And everybody in the knitting community was talking and obsessed about wool yarn. And my only experience with wool had been those scratchy sweaters that your grandma made you wear when you were little. And I'm like, why on earth would anybody want to knit with wool? Because it's itchy and scratchy and awful. And of course, the online knitting community set me straight, and they said, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. And I'm like, but you have to hand wash it. And they said, it doesn't matter. This was right at the very advent and beginning of when hand dyed yarn was beginning to be a thing. And there was a company that was just starting. They started this new thing about a club where you could join and get 1 skein a month, and it was Socks That Rock. Do you remember Socks That Rock? They were just starting out, and she said, if you have never experienced wool yarn, you need to experience it. And she mailed me, a total stranger, a skein of her yarn for free. And it was the most delightful, wonderful thing that I had ever knit with or ever used, and I only ever wanted to use wool yarn after that. But of course, I was a stay-at-home mom of 2 little kids. My husband had a warehouse job. We were just poor little church mice, and I didn't have money for good supplies. And so I found a tutorial online on how to unravel thrift store sweaters to recycle the yarn. And I could afford a few dollars for a couple of sweaters, but I couldn't afford, $25 for a skein of yarn. So I went and I bought some sweaters from the thrift store and I followed this tutorial online and I unraveled my first sweater and I didn't really know what I was doing. I found that I actually really enjoyed the process of looking at a sweater and deconstructing it and the handwork part of it. And then pretty soon I had more yarn that I could personally knit and
Hmm.
people were selling it on eBay. And I said, "Well, maybe I could sell something on eBay." And I put up my first lot of yarn and said, "Wouldn't it be great if I could make enough money to buy milk?" And
Set the bar.
set the buy low. Well, you know, you say that except
But
for
it's true. Your story is the same as my beginning quilting story.
is it
Same.
really?
Like I
Yeah.
would I would skip lunch so I could buy a fat quarter each week because we were that poor and ended up with a business to support my addictive habit.
Isn't this the way? I think that in crafting, you tend to fall down the rabbit hole. I think for at least the first decade that I was in business, I used to quantify my sales online in groceries. This is how many gallons of milk this can buy.
Hmm. Right?
But, the rabbit hole that it tends to be is you learn one thing in your craft and then you learn another thing in your craft and then you pick up another craft. And then, so now we sell notions because I saw that while I was selling the yarn, that I saw that people were making little stitch markers and doodads and things, beaded things. And I'm like, well, I can make those. And so
Hmm.
I made some of my own designs and I made some tools that solved some problems. And that ended up being far more successful than the yarn ever was for me.
It's a matter, and this is so true for every kind of business of scalability, right?
Yes, it was not
How
scalable.
right? How much of your personal labor and how many of your hours goes into making dollars? And if
Mhm.
that is the only way that you're making money, it's just not sustainable. What if something happens to you and you can't do that thing anymore? So finding in any kind of business a way that is sustainable and scalable is the way to keep going.
Well, and there are many different ways to do that to find scale that I spent years trying to find ways where where I could still do everything myself. And I have a very good business coach who told me when I was at the point of burnout where I think I had a really good Black Friday and I made everything to order at that point. And I looked at my wonderful sales day and then realized I now had to make all those things. That
No.
I just kind of curled up on the ground and cried. I'm like, this sounds like, how did I create this awful job for myself? And he told me, it sounds like you just need to hire somebody. And I had never wanted to be a boss. I didn't want that kind of pressure, or I didn't think I'd be good at it. And I think he gave me the best advice that day when he says, Dawn, how do you know if you've never tried it? And that little piece of advice, like you said earlier, is sometimes you just try something. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you don't have to keep it forever. I think sometimes in business, we get caught up in the idea of we have to come up with the perfect idea, the perfect business, the thing that is going to survive for all time. And there's a lot of pressure taken off when you say, this is my starter business, or this is
Right.
my starter project, or I'm going to just try this thing and see how it works.
Right. And that's teachers especially. Well, a lot of our audience is teachers think that you have to have an absolute perfect course before you present it to people. But you can still have a product that's good enough that people will buy. You can still have a course that will teach people what they need without it being perfect. So you have to try it and see.
You do. You have to ship it. You have to get something out into the world. I've tied myself up into knots for years because I do have a couple of knitting courses that I've made that
Hmm.
I needed the perfect tools. Do I use Canva? Do I use how do I record my screenshots? How do I do all this? And all of the got so caught up in the technical nitty-gritty and didn't hit record because I was so worried about, oh, well, I need to put picture in picture and my face down in the bottom corner and then you can see my hands over here. And The reality is people just wanna know that you're a human and you're talking to them and that you have something good to tell them. It doesn't matter if it's super polished and everything is super perfect. It's okay.
Is you are singing my song, my constant refrain. It really doesn't matter. You just have to get it out there. So tell us where your business is today.
We're a multi-million dollar company today, and we have 50 employees, most of whom are stay-at-home moms that they come in once a week, they pick up supplies, they go home and they make the things, and then they
Mhm.
come back the next week and drop them off. It's the kind of job that I would have wanted when I was a stay-at-home mom because there's some, and maybe I'm dating myself and aging myself, that there were always these promises of companies where you can do piecework or you can do handwork and that you turn it in and you'll get paid for it. And they were all scams. All of my employees are W-2 employees. They get PTO, they get time off, they get all of the things because I know how important that was to me when I had little kids. And I
Mhm.
want that for them too. We moved out of my house 2021. For the longest time, we were in my living room. I had my first 3 employees working in my living room with me. That was the most awkward conversation ever of having an interview for, "Do you wanna have a job at my company?" while we're sitting at my kitchen table and there are dirty dishes in the sink. And I'm like, "Does anybody this feels so unprofessional." Um, but I think the thing that changed my perspective on this, I always felt like asking somebody to come into my business was me somehow taking advantage of somebody, or why
Mm.
couldn't I do this on my own, or shouldn't I be smart enough or good enough or whatever. And when I was interviewing one of my potential employees, who's one of my very good friends, and she looked at me and she says, "Dawn, I've been praying for something like this." And it shifted my mind that something that I thought was buying milk for my family could be something bigger and something better. There is this incredible magic that comes when you collaborate or when you work together, that you are able to accomplish more than the sum of the two of you together. And that works whether in a business like mine where I have employees or in collaborations between businesses together. That when we do something like this and talk on a podcast, we have more influence and reach and power than we do individually. When I work with a yarn dyer or when I work with a pattern designer and we create something together, it has more power than if we're all just living in our own little silos and trying to do it all on our own. It's not taking advantage of anybody. This is what community should look like.
It absolutely is. And I think from the beginning, building a business that serves the people in the people the business serves, something that is built on values of decency and trust and mutual uplift. Those kind of businesses make the world such a better place than it is right now. So I am so grateful that you started your business that way and understanding it clearly from the beginning that that's how you wanted to treat your people.
Yeah, that I say that the purpose, our mission statement for this company. So for I was in business for 15 years before I ever had a purpose for this business other than it was going to buy me milk. And when I was done, with that, then we'd just close up shop and we'd all be done. That I say that our mission statement is that we employ and empower others. That the purpose of this business is to get to feed as many families as we can. And we happen to do that through the means of the fiber arts right now. I love the knitting and crochet community. I'm deeply into that community. I understand the messaging that needs to happen there. I understand the tools that'll be helpful for them. I love being able to empower my community with things that make their crafting life better. But ultimately, we could be selling something totally different and still fulfilling the mission, which
Right.
is to feed families.
Right. And that goes to core values. So, as an individual, as a business, you have things that are the core of your business, the thing you do, the product. You have the
Mhm.
customers that you're helping and serving by offering the product. You have the people, you, that are supplying the product. But underneath it all, if you understand why you're doing it in the first place and what the values are that drive why you're doing it, then the actions of the business, the actions of you align. And that's when, like, when things get tough for every single business at some
Mhm.
point. There's always bumps in the road. And when you hit those, if you remember and understand why you're doing this, then it helps you get through those. And either you double check, and this is a really good thing for all of us, right? To look and say, wait, is what I'm doing right now in alignment with my values? Because if it's not, sometimes that causes the problems. And if it is, you just remember why you're doing it, and it's worth it to keep going to get through, right?
I think that that's so true. And I want to say that I think maybe as women or maybe in this creative industry, we think that that why has to be some grand vision like, I want to be the greatest teacher ever known, or I want to make, I want to get 5 million people to learn to quilt. We think
Right.
that, or I want to create world peace. We think that it has to be something big, but sometimes it's literally like, I need to buy groceries this week. And having a financial motivation for having a business is not a bad thing. That you need to be able to eat. You need to be able to support yourself and your family. And you are not a sacrificial lamb to where you have to give of your time and effort and everything in the noble pursuit of giving to the community. It should be a reciprocal thing going on here.
Yeah, there has to be a balance of exchange, and currency is a kind of energy that it has to go both ways. And you're absolutely right. We're loving and serving our people, but they have to love and serve us back with we have to be profitable, right?
Yes,
Because it's also unsustainable if you're not paying yourself.
this is true. Pay yourself. Pay yourself.
It's a good thing. I was looking around at your wonderful business on your
Mhm.
website, and you have an ambassador program. We haven't really talked about that before on Creatives on Camera. First of all, from my understanding of what ambassador programs are, and they
Mhm.
can look so many different ways. It's when a machine company says that I want you to do some projects for us and promote our machine. And in return, we're going to do this for you. Sometimes it's influencers on Instagram. It can be all different kinds of things, but it should be a mutually beneficial relationship. I noticed that you pay your ambassadors, and there are many programs where ambassadors do not get paid.
Again, yarn does not buy milk, and being paid in product is wonderful if you just really love the product and you're like,
Right.
hey, if you can give me, a machine and I'll talk about it, that's great. That's a great way to get tools and materials that you couldn't normally have access to. But I know that along with that alignment of wanting to make sure that, our goal is to feed families. Yes, we pay our brand ambassadors. I realized that there is a very wide variety of what being an affiliate or a brand ambassador or all of these things looks like in the creative industry. So ours, we've created like we do everything, we created what we wanted to exist. So our program, you get a 20% commission on any traffic that comes through your affiliate link. We send an initial packet of supplies in many ways based on what our best sellers are and what we think fits your aesthetic and what we think you might like. And then it really is up to the affiliate to essentially market. The goal is to feel natural because nobody really enjoys being sold to all the time. But if you're doing whatever it is that you do in your content creator sphere anyway, and you just happen to be using our products in your video or your photo, or you mention to your audience, hey, Twice Sheared Sheep's Advent box is on pre-order right now. Use my link. If you want, it helps me out. You get a cool product. It's in many ways, I think sometimes affiliates are afraid to say something like that. But if you have a strong attachment to your community feels attached to you, they want to help you. And if they were going to buy this thing anyway, they're going to buy it through your affiliate link. Or if you say that it's good and you use it and you like it, they trust you and they might give it a try too. Um, I think that being an affiliate is harder in some ways than people think and easier than people think. In the same way that we talked about creating courses and where like it needs to be perfect and I need to have picture in picture and all of these things, that I think sometimes people who want to be a content creator or want to be an affiliate feel like it has to be a perfect video and they have to edit it to death and then they have to plan all of these things. And yes, you can do it that way, but it can also just be you talking to the camera walking down the street. Being consistent is one of the most important things. I think our best affiliate right now has posted a reel every single day for like 5 years. Your face. So she's incredibly consistent.
Hmm. Now, I made a face like, "Ugh," because most people
Mhm.
posting every day just sounds like a huge grind. I am willing to bet that her reels take her less than 5 minutes to
Probably. Mhm.
create, and if they do editing at all, put together and post.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's what you're saying, betting anything that they are not doing high value production. They're just connecting with their audience, talking about a thing that they love. And as we're talking, your ambassador program is in actuality an affiliate program,
It is. Yeah.
right? They have to apply and they have to meet certain maybe standards and requirements, but the way it works is they get an affiliate commission on whatever sales come through them,
Mhm.
which on different platforms can be set up automatically.
Mhm.
So
We
you
use a
don't have
great
to.
plugin on our website where you can see the traffic that's come through your link
Mhm.
and that it just collects whatever commission you've earned. The technology is fantastic, which you're right, is different than a brand partnership deal. If you think like the
Right.
NBA or somebody who's, a superstar athlete who's now promoting this new electrolyte blend, or whatever, that they've got a contract that says that you can only they can that they the company kind of owns you and that you're contracted to make so many posts or to be present in so many events or things like that. We have avoided those things for our affiliate program because honestly we know how limited it can be for a small creator to make money in the industry, and I don't want to limit anybody to only working with us. You know, that if you want to work with this yarn company over here and you want to work with us for our tools and you want to work with these other people over here too because you genuinely use all of those things in your life, it's great for me. I don't care.
I like the word genuinely because it's about authenticity, right?
It is.
When you are authentically connecting with your audience and just telling them about the things that help you and the ways those things can help them,
Mhm.
then it doesn't feel like pushy sales, right? It feels like just, hey, we're two people who really love to do this same thing and let's swap some ideas.
Well, and in fact, we have paid influencers before for a high production post,
Mhm.
or video where it was a review and all the things. And that didn't do nearly as well as, somebody who genuinely likes the products and it shows through and they care about it. We were talking about Katie who posts a reel every day. The other thing is she's not making new reels every day.
Mm.
Repurposing content is a thing.
It
And
is.
it is totally okay to share the same thing again if it did well before. I think sometimes we think that everything needs to be new, but the reality is that new people come into your audience every day. And those new people haven't seen that old content yet. If you shared a really great tutorial on how to get perfect corners on your quilt squares 3 weeks ago and somebody comes in today, if you share that video again next week, to them, it is brand new. They're like, oh my gosh, you just saved my life. And it's important to keep talking about the same things over and over and over again. We feel like a broken record. We know our product line so well. We feel like we're always talking about the same video. And why would anybody want to hear about my course one more time? But not everybody's heard about it yet, or not everybody's heard about it from this angle, or maybe somebody just learned are that they love quilting, and now they're looking for somebody who you have a solution to.
right?
Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Be a broken record.
Yeah, every single piece of content you make is an opportunity to make a first impression on someone.
Yes. And it may be that somebody has seen it before, but they famously say that somebody has to see something 7 times before they take action on it. Maybe they weren't ready yet the first time. And the more times you show up in their feed, they're like, no, I really do want to take up watercolor. And I really do need help with this. And maybe I really should just spend the $50 or $100 and take this little class. They can do that.
Right. It can happen. I am curious about what tech you use for your affiliate program.
Mhm.
And do you have your own social media or YouTube accounts? How do you advertise your business?
Yes. So our website is built on Shopify.
Mhm.
And so we have a plugin for Shopify for our affiliate program. It's called Bixgrow Affiliate. And I found it to be incredibly user friendly. I really like it. That I like that I can see exactly how people are earning. I like that they can see exactly how much they're earning. I like that it can make it really easy to pay people. And I like that I have some flexibility of how to apply the commissions. So we can give them an affiliate link, we can give them a coupon code. We have several affiliates where we carry their knitting patterns on our website to pair with our yarn. And if anybody purchases their pattern on our website, it automatically assigns the value of their commission on that pattern. And so I really like all of those abilities. We do have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram and a Facebook. We're not on TikTok right now, but that is something that I seriously think we need to do. Our main advertising channel legitimately is paid ads through Meta, Facebook, and we pay a fairly significant amount of money every month in Facebook ads, but that was what broke us through to growth in the very first place. That I I used to run an ad to our chain row counter. It was our first breakout product that I only did ads at like $5 a day. That ad ran for like 3 or 4 years straight and just gave a steady, steady stream of income. And I could ratchet it up if I had the capacity to make more, and I could ratchet it down if we were overburdened. It's honestly, I think it was fantastic and is still fantastic. I know that it's scary for a lot of people to pay for something if you don't know that it's going to carry through.
Right.
I will say that paying for advertising, all it really does is reveal whether or not your messaging is good sooner. Because you can have good messaging and it will work on on social media or organic channels. Putting dollars behind it just amplifies that same good messaging. You put dollars behind a bad message, it is going to fail faster. Although sometimes then we blame the ads platform and we're like, well, it's Facebook's fault that, they're just stealing my money. But have to have a message to begin with. This was another piece of advice that I got early on, was that if you genuinely listen to what your customers are saying, the words that they are saying, if you're talking to them and you say, what are your problems? How are you feeling about this? And they say anxious instead of worried, then you use anxious in your ads. You literally use the words that came out of their mouth and parrot
Mhm.
them, because then other people like them recognize it and they're like, "How did you know me so well?" And you're, "Well, I'm just telling you what you told me." Good messaging is just helping people recognize themselves in what you have to offer.
It is. It is why even when teaching, especially when teaching, I think, doing some market testing,
Mm,
interviewing your people, and some people think they can't launch because they don't have 1,000 people on their email list, right? But you
oh,
don't
good
need a
point.
thousand. You need to talk to 5 people who might be interested, and especially 5 people who have no clue, they're not experts about what you're doing, and talk to them about the technique or the product or whatever it is you're doing and exactly what you're saying. And when you only have 5 people, get on Zoom for half an hour with each one. That is a gold mine of messaging, of the words that your people use. The best question is, why aren't you already doing this thing?
That's a
What's
great
holding you
question.
back?
Another fun thing that you can do is that you can go into all of the Facebook groups in your niche that you're already in and just watch and read what
Hmm.
they're saying, what they're talking about. What are the pain points that they're bringing up? What are the things that they're complaining about? Are they complaining about a competitor? And what are their criticisms of it? And you can use that criticism and say, oh, well, we're not like that. Or, oh, do you have this problem? Look, we solved that. When you get your mind in that place, there's a lot of research you can do through absorption. You have to be careful about the questions that you're asking, because sometimes if you say, "Would you take this class?" they're going to say yes because they're your friend and of course they would. Or if you say, "How much do you think I should charge?" or "How much would you pay?" they're always going to tell you higher than what they would actually pay for something. You have to be really careful and about the questions that you're asking. You want to elicit them to just talk freely so that you can listen, as opposed to getting, validation for what you already think.
To get them to talk about how they feel themselves about where they are right now and
Mhm.
where they want to be
Yeah.
instead of a review of your product, right? If it works, if it doesn't, if you know the technique or you don't, it's not necessarily that. It's about what frustrates you about this. What do you wish you could do? What could you do if you already had the skill or already had this
Mhm.
product, right? Keep it centered around the customer's experience, not about, you or the questions that you just
Mhm.
talked about.
Well, you've heard of the pyramid of needs, where we need food and
Mhm.
things first. There is a pyramid of marketing too that kind of follows along with that. And the bottom layer of marketing messaging is all about the features of the product or the features of the course. There are 12 modules, and you'll learn how to
Right.
do this skill, this skill, this skill. That they're all about, it comes in 5 colors and it has a cup holder,
Yeah.
or whatever. They're features, but
Mhm.
they're very low on anybody's emotional attachment to it. And the higher up the pyramid you go, the more emotionally attached the person is to that messaging. So, the top of the pyramid is transcendence. Most
Yep.
of us are not selling transcendence of some kind,
But some sort of
but
transformation, right?
particularly in courses, some kind of transformation. A before and after. I was here
Mhm.
and now I'm here.
Well, even with a product like
Yeah,
markers in knitting,
yeah,
before and after is a
before and after.
transformation. Before you lose your count, after, it's right there. You don't even have to think about it.
The best messaging. So some of those higher levels are a feeling of belonging, a sense of accomplishment, a feeling of nostalgia, some
Mhm.
of these deeper emotional needs. But even this transformation of, oh, I've always wanted to color, well, did you really want to color? Yes, but what does that mean to you to be an artist? I've always wanted to be an artist. What does that mean to be an artist? How does that emotionally make you feel to be an artist?
Mhm.
What is the sentiment or the attachment? Is it pride? I want to see my name on a wall somewhere? Is it that feeling of, "Oh, there was just paint and now I made something. I made a thing that didn't exist in the world before?" Is it you want to have that label behind your name? Isolating and recognizing what is the actual desire there.
Yeah.
And some of it is most of our tools, honestly, are to avoid frustration but I've realized that avoiding the frustration comes down to the emotional desire of, I don't want to suck at this.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a universal desire. We just don't want to suck at things. And you know what? As business people, as teachers, as creators, there's no way to get around sucking at something when you're starting, and you have to be willing to do it anyway because you
Mhm.
can't not suck at it without practicing, without doing the thing. Dawn, it has been an absolute delight and pleasure. I think there has been a goldmine of information and just so many useful bits of wisdom that you've shared with our audience, and I'm so grateful to you.
Well, Lyric, it's been wonderful. I was so glad that you reached out.
It was so much fun to meet you and to be able to do this. One thing we ask all of our guests before
Mhm.
we leave is, and the answer can be off the wall, what is the last thing you made?
The last thing I made, other than dinner,
Dinner can be the thing.
the last thing that I made was dinner, probably. I actually really like to cook, so I
Yeah.
make dinner most nights.
Favorite
Uh,
recipe?
oh,
Or
probably right now, I'm really liking several varieties of stir fry that I really like to eat. I
mm-hmm.
think my recipe that is one of my signatures is my potato soup. Soup is one of those things
Mm,
that I made a lot when my kids were little because, the ingredients are very inexpensive and you can feed an army, and so,
and it
um,
freezes well. You can make
it
it
does.
doesn't take more time to make a giant pot than a small pot. Where can people find you, Dawn?
You can find me at twiceshearedsheep.com. We have links to all of our social on our website, and yeah, if you're into knitting and crochet tools, we've got all sorts of things to help you, and I do have a YouTube channel. I think it's YouTube/Twice Sheared Sheep or something.
Excellent. We will have all of those links in the show notes. And as always, my friends, never stop being creative. There were so many good things there, right? Hey, friends, let's have a conversation. Have you been an affiliate? How do you feel about marketing? What questions do you have after this episode? Leave questions in the comments. Let's have a conversation. And I have something for you. At the Academy for Virtual Teaching, we have a free webinar, 3-step promotional video, where we make it so much easier for you to create a promotional video. Something that's effective, something that's efficient, something that's easy. Again, it's free. Go to academyforvirtualteaching.com and join our free community. It is an amazing place full of people just like you, creatives who are bringing joy into this world through the creativity that we share, that we teach, and that we facilitate. Take care, friends. Keep creating.